And what is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Lenny in chair one. He's in today's episode going to be called Manchester Matt.
Ooh.
Because we're getting into one of our favorite things, a video game review.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun with this one, Lenny.
Yeah, man. I know this. You've been like chomping at the bit for this one.
It's been hard to keep this smile away.
It's been awkward for the past 10 minutes.
I know, because my teeth aren't that straight. So I was really excited, and I was trying to get you on board, and I kept telling you, "Hey, man, do me a favor, watch Ted Lasso for me." And you're like, "Dude, what's Ted Lasso?"
Still have no idea.
Yeah, Apple TV Plus.
Nice.
Ted Lasso.
Sweet plug, dude.
Concept is American football coach gets hired to coach European football, aka soccer, and it is a recipe for what some would say a dream.
Really?
Absolutely.
This is based on a true story?
It's Jason Sudeikis, so it damn well should be.
So it's not a true story?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. But
right,
it should be.
But this would have gotten me prepped for this episode. How
Well,
so?
it would have gotten you excited because you would have become an instant soccer fan, and you would have been just as excited
Football.
as I am for the release of EA Sports FIFA 21.
Yeah, you've had this for a few days now. Got your hands on it on what, Tuesday?
Day one, Lenny.
Yep.
Ultimate Edition access.
You dropped the extra bucks because you want to cheat on Ultimate Team.
It just felt right. I had to do it. I had to get that competitive edge.
Yep.
And I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, so perimeter thoughts or like exterior thoughts on the game. So far you've been happy?
Overall, I've been very happy.
Yep.
I like a lot of the things that they've done with them. There are some clear changes from year over year. It's one of those sports games that gets a lot of heat for not really bringing too much difference into some of their year over year video games.
So do you think, because that is a constant theme with EA, right, is that we question the type of game content that they're putting out, especially in these major sports releases where it is something year over year. Madden mostly recently fell victim to a very poor response to their release, right?
Yeah.
As a person who buys this game every year immediately when it comes out and you're a huge fan of it, do you think this has been successful in your eyes as like a year over year growth in the short period that you have had it?
I would definitely call it a success because they were able to surprise me. Okay. It's one of those instances where it is huge, because usually with these sports games with EA, we've talked about it with UFC, where we kind of have an understanding of what we're getting ourselves into. I know what I'm buying. I know what I'm going to be able to do with it. And up until 21, I mean, it's been probably maybe 4 or 5 years since a big change in FIFA.
Okay. And so what is this big change that you're referencing?
So there's a couple of different options in some of the game modes that I play, and some of the games modes that are available. So there's always going to be the career and franchise modes, which are great. They give you some new options on how you can negotiate with players to sign long-term contracts, how transfers works. Which has always been a staple for the game, and they've of course just increased it and enhanced it with a little bit of upgrades there. The one that got me really excited is 2 game modes in particular. FIFA Pro Clubs, where you're online mode, you're playing interactively, where you're playing one set position on a team of 11 with other people around the world. Always have fun with it. I join a couple of different teams every year, and it is an amazing time how much fun you can have for just a sports game. But
so in you communicating with like just
you're in the party with these guys, you're talking shit, you're chatting it up, you guys are thinking strategies. But it was one of those game modes that was always lacking something, whether it was you couldn't control the defense, or you couldn't really adjust your player to have a play style that you're really kind of adept to playing.
Okay. And
those limitations have somewhat kind of been broken off. There's some customizable options in Pro Clubs now where you can adjust your defenders or your AIs. And that was something that we never had. You can make your AIs taller, faster, bigger, depending on how your team play styles. And then you can also play around with the tactics and the roles a little bit.
So me as a novice, right? If I wanted to hop in that game mode and I wanted to set my AI, what would be the negative of me setting my AI to a bunch of 6'5" massive dudes and just stacking them in the box in front of the goal?
Well, you're going to miss out on a couple of key attributes, because although size does matter when you're in the box in soccer, whether that be a defender or a striker, very funny how I put that. But if you look at it, height isn't always a major factor. There are tall soccer players or football players that have a lot of success. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a crowd favorite.
One of my faves.
Yeah, but they don't always have the pace or the strategic know-how to know their position. And you tend to have a little bit more success with some of those smaller guys. So depending on what position, if you want to be a goalkeeper or a center back, there's your 6'5", 6'4" guy. But if you want to score goals, if you want to assist and control the midfield, you're looking at that 5'8", 5'9". Maybe you make it to 6 feet if you want to go box to box. Wink, wink.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. But it is one of those games where there's going to be some trade-offs, and you can't always be the biggest and baddest guy on the field.
So where have you spent most of your time playing? You've been doing mostly online, or are you doing like the franchise? What are you doing so far?
So I jumped right into the online modes. As much as I love FIFA Pro Clubs, my heart and soul are dedicated to FIFA Ultimate Team, or FUT as we call it in the FIFA community.
Inner circle.
Yeah. And there's been some awesome enhancements to FIFA Ultimate Team as well. It's very similar to Ultimate Team on Madden, if you're familiar with it, where you can basically purchase and trade cards for players, and you're integrating them into your team, your starting 11, if you would.
And so you're weighing risk versus reward on some of these trades of cards and stuff in order to try and build a team. I'm sure that it's obviously you want the best players, but it's at this point, I'm sure it's more of what complements each other best, right?
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of game plan you have as a player. I'm more of a pacey winger, structured midfield. So, Lionel Messi, as great as it would be to have him, he's going to be able to do just about anything on the field, aside from the fact that he's just expensive as shit. He doesn't really fit the way that I play. So there's some players that I like to trade and buy that some people don't even find on their radar, but it's because of the way I like to play my teams. But when you get into buying and trading some of these players, there are going to be some names out there where you're like, oh, I got to have that guy.
Yeah, the guys you want to build your team around.
Guys you want to build your team around. And there's guys like Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, Cristiano Ronaldo. We talked a little bit about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's an old player, but still OP card for some leagues. And
is there regression if you get an older card like that? Is that going to regress over time, or have you just bought a guy who, for the foreseeable future, he's just going to be nasty?
Well, that's the cool thing about Ultimate Team is because they're doing it on a card basis, you can buy a promo card or a kit card where if that player is having an amazing game or an amazing week, they'll have Team of the Week options. So it's known as a black gold player. And with a player like Zlatan, if you buy his weakest card, he's never going to get worse than that. You can increase him with enhancements, chemistry styles. You can adjust things like training, but he's never going to get worse. And depending on what position you put him in, if you play him out of position, he's not going to give you the best.
What you want.
Yeah, he's not going to give you the best bang for your buck. So it really is about the strategy there. And it's always been about the strategy. You're able to build the team depending on how you want based on your formations, but they've added some new visual things where you can take more control over what your team looks like, what your stadium looks like. This was something that sounds very basic to most sports users or sports games players. But in Ultimate Team, I couldn't customize what my stadium looked like. I could choose a stadium that's famous and already out there, but I couldn't change the colors of the seats. I couldn't.
In soccer, that's kind of important. Like your team colors, I feel like, my outside knowledge of soccer, like your team colors, especially in Europe, is such like a huge thing. I've seen it in like the crowds where it's like the whole side of the arena is the color of their team, So
and
I get it.
European football, they do new kits or new soccer jerseys every year. I'm rocking one right now. This is this year's
fresh looking shirt.
Thank you. Manchester City's away kit for this year, 2021.
Manchester Matt looking fly.
Feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool things about this experience is we didn't get this before. You could, buy a card with Manchester's kits and use their kits, but then your stadium would really kind of reflect whatever stadium card that you purchase. Now, if I wanted to rain Man City everywhere, I can adjust what my stadium looks like.
Did you say Rain Man for a reason?
I might have.
Okay.
I might have. It's a slight add-on in there. Trunk.
Tom Cruise.
Dustin Hoffman?
Sure.
Love him. But this game, it delightfully surprised me. And it wasn't one of the, crazy overhauls. When we talk about gameplay, there's some adjustments in how fast people run. There's been a lot of complaints about pace on this game. And I guess that's one of the downsides that I'll get to in just a minute. But this game added a lot of nuanced things that I think helped really kind of change the experience that you're getting.
Yeah, before we get into the things you maybe haven't liked about it, or some things that like through updates, maybe you'd like to see them change. For people who aren't maybe you're very good at FIFA. Like, let's just put that out to the world. You're very good at FIFA. At least from my fucking pea brain FIFA skull that I have here. Like,
I'm Cristiano Ronaldo to you.
Yeah,
I get that.
So for a person like myself, right, to go and buy FIFA and play online, am I gonna go and get my fucking head blown off by these dudes that are like playing every day? Like, how's the matchmaking work for the everyday person? Do you think it's a game that's a person like myself or a new user can just jump into and start to feel good about it?
Yeah, the comfort I can give you there is it is a game that, for all the game modes that they have for people who have been avid FIFA purchasers for years to come, every game mode has an entry level or an easy way to get into it. And one of the reasons why I love FIFA is that if you're someone just picking it up and you're not button mashing, you're not trying to speed up the tempo, you have a chance to win in the game. I remember picking up FIFA for the first time and beating people who had played for 3 or 4 years, talking a lot of smack.
Yeah.
Picked it up, beat them immediately. The one downside, and I don't know if we're going down there yet, but the downside is the placement matching. FIFA 21, I don't want to say that they got it wrong this year, but I was in Division 5 and Division 4 all of last year. If you're familiar with FIFA Ultimate Team, there's Divisions 10 through 1. You start off at 10 depending on where your placement is, and you want to get all the way up to 1.
And I assume it's like UFC where I would have to fight 5 placement fights, and then they decide the division that you're in.
So that's exactly what it is. You play 5 placement matches, and that's your placement test. They're going to put you depending on where you rank. And I, fortunately but unfortunately, smashed everybody in those 5 games. I had a goal average of +3 in every single game, and they shot me right up to Division 2, rating of 1890, which looked great for me. I had never really seen anything like that. Those first 5 games that I played online, everybody was about 30 points higher than me skill-wise, and it definitely showed.
So did you feel even a little bit outside of your depths for just picking up the game to all of a sudden be in this high division?
It didn't allow me to gradually progress in the game, and that would be what I would say is the downside to that.
That is going to be tough for a person who's a newer user, where it can be very defeating quickly. Whether it be UFC or whether it be Madden or in this case FIFA, I think when you immediately pick up a game, in a soccer game, like how long does one match take for you online?
So depending on how you have it set up, I particularly would do 6 to 7 minute halves. Each game could take about 15 minutes.
So
not a ton of timeouts
and things like that. I'm going to spend 15 to 20 minutes and I'm just going to get like blown out. And you do that a couple times and like it's hard to come back.
Well, that's where EA's always done a great job. On the downside of my FIFA Ultimate Team placement, the game modes that they have to actually get you comfortable with the game, there's a plethora. Between the play now options where you can just jump right in, pick your favorite team, a team that you may have heard of, get your reps in, and you can always play the computer. I know that you're a huge fan of jumping in with the computer because the computer is really going to be 100% everywhere. They're not going to make a ton of mistakes. It really allows you to kind of...
And you can grow with it with the difficulty too. You can kind of get your reps in again against like a lower difficulty, kind of learn the passing and like the way the ball moves. And now when you jump up to that next level, you start having some success and you gradually get better. And then I think for me, I've always used that as a like, okay, now I'm playing against the hard computer. Yeah. Let me jump online and see how I match up against the real people.
Yeah, I don't think if you're doing a workout, you just jump into the workout, right? You want to stretch and feel a little bit more comfortable jumping into that. And if you're a new person jumping into FIFA 21, my first recommendation is, as fun as the online modes are, don't be quick to jump into them. FIFA Ultimate Team is a lot of fun when you know what you're doing and you know the players a little bit better. My first recommendation is jump into the play now modes, jump into the season modes if you really want to get online. That would give you the opportunity to kind of gauge where your skill set is, but then also allow you to have some fun with the players, because the best part about FIFA has always been the ability to control just about everything. Yeah. One of my downsides for the games like 2K and Madden, you're racing against a clock. There's a lot of timeouts. There's a lot of gameplay, match picking, strategy picking. In FIFA, it's 45 minutes of play, halftime, 45 minutes of play, and we're right back in it.
So it is, I think you are right about like being able to real time control everything is a lot more feasible to me in a game like FIFA versus basketball. Like it's so bang, bang, bang that at least for me, I've always struggled to get the off ball controls. I've always been good with like I can do the through the legs and
dribbling.
like the and one shit, right? And that's all really fun. And I know how to like drive the lane and kick out for like 3, but I've never been great at running an actual executed play in those games. The people who do like own those games because
and they're putting
keep
the
up
time
with
in,
that, right?
Yeah.
Madden, to your point, like you have before the play clock, the guys that are really, really good at that game know how to move around all their defenders and do this, that, and the other. The way you have to play with your game is like everything's still moving, but it's you can control the pace, I think, with the ball, at least from what I've seen with it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I'm dribbling with the ball. People are playing back off me a little bit, so now I can set up other stuff around me.
You talked a lot about pacing in the UFC 4 video game and how that was a big change or improvement on EA's side. And I think that that's something that's duly noted for FIFA in this instance, because you get more of a reward for slowing things down and keeping and maintaining possession. Every YouTube video that you'll watch out there, they tell you someone can't beat you if they don't have the ball. Yeah. And that's a really cool thing in FIFA and in soccer in general is if you're the better team and you know how to control your players, control your passing and your shooting, you'll be rewarded. It can't be one of those games where you're just button mashing and you're trying to push the tempo.
I'm typically the guy who like I play it the same way I play like NHL, where you rush with the 3 people, 1 on each wing and 1 up the middle, and you just kind of like you crash from the outside and try to catch it in the middle and just kick it in real quick. Yeah. That's normally how I play, and that's why
it's very back and forth. I did this again,
dude. You're gonna
very
break
back and
that
forth.
computer.
Yeah, always doing it.
Yeah, and that's where the skill difficulty for me and you has always been, right? Is that like I might catch a couple goals off you here and there because when you get easy shots over the middle, if I can drive the right way, you're going to get some of those in, but you're always going to outclass me because you don't panic with the ball. You're not going to over push to the net and things like that.
I'm able to make passes and I think that's always been one of my strong skill sets when I play FIFA is when I'm not inside my own head and I'm not getting my ass kicked. I am controlling the pace. I am making sure I know where my passes are going. Yeah. And for anybody out there who's interested in FIFA, maybe you've played FIFA 18, FIFA 17, some of those games that really stood out for being fun games. I know FIFA 20 got a really bad rap. FIFA 21 made a lot of improvements. And for those people who've continued to stay loyal, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there for you to get your hands on.
There's enough reasons for you to come back. So in closing, so I'm not going to give any type of rating because I've not played the game whatsoever.
Yet.
And I don't know if I'll play it, and it's not an indictment at all on the franchise. It's just maybe not something that's my cup of tea. But as a person who is very knowledgeable and bought the game year over year, does this pass the taste test for you?
This passes the taste test.
Okay.
Very early on, I'm less than a week in. I've been able to kind of spread my wings a little bit on this game, dip a little bit into the franchise mode, the career mode. You'll see in some of the gameplay, it really is a fun game because of all the new things that they've introduced. As always, there's going to be some gameplay changes where dribbling might be a little bit different. Can't fall in love with the turbo button. But in the learning curve, it's 100% passing the taste test.
Cool. So that's awesome, man. And I hope people out there buy it. If you already have it, maybe you want to play Matt, hit us up in the chat and let us know. Maybe he can send you over the old
hit us up at
gamer
Instagram at For Those With Good Taste if you want the smoke. Mm-hmm. And no BS. If you're trying to play, no rage quitting, come see me. We'll have a good time.
Yeah. And let us know if there's any other games coming up down the line that you'd like to see us talk about. I mean, we're both really big gamers in general. I have some other cool things that I'm going to be working on the game front that I want to get out there. Thanks for checking us out. As always, guys, we appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, head us down below. Like Matt said, we're at For Those With Good Taste on Instagram. We're at Good Taste Live on Twitter. See us on there. Let us know what you guys think. Thank you.
We'll catch you guys soon.
Adios, mi amigos. Peace.
So you got some football in you.